Final hour OverDrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Darren Dreger will join us here in a few moments. Battle of Ontario tonight. And Battle of Ontario has been quiet for a long time. I mean, it's been
jacked up tonight, I'll tell you that.
It is because of the two scenarios, right? Where the Leafs are not playing great, but they're the kings of the county in terms of this province, and they have been for over 7 years now, really since Matthews and Marner arrived. They've been a playoff team every year. They've been a very good team. Ottawa has not made the playoffs for 6 years, and the buildup is Ottawa's got to have a response, right? Like, it's Ottawa that's driving it because they've gotten off to such a poor start. Their fans are turning on them, turning on their coach. But the only way the Battle of Ontario really has a revival is if both teams are good again, you know, and that's on Ottawa, I think, to basically pull their weight more because they haven't been good for a long time.
I'll tell you one thing, Brian. Those Ottawa Senators, you get the sense that they like DJ Smith, and they should, because he's a great guy and he's a great coach. But they can do him a big-time favor and do themselves a big-time favor. If they like him, go out and show how much you like him.
Go play well.
And play your ass off, because if you're going to start stinking the joint out, they're going to bring in some curmudgeon that's going to make your life miserable. So good luck with that. So that's what usually happens. Oh, you like the coach? Okay, you're not playing well enough, so I'm bringing in some guy you're not going to like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there already is a changing in the guard. Like, this is new owners, a new manager, Stevie Stais. Like, this is new eyes on the organization.
Right. So and he's probably talking to the players, Jamie, saying, do you like DJ? Yeah, we all love DJ. Okay, he can only watch it for so long where it's like, well, if you like DJ and you're not going to work for DJ, I've got to bring somebody else in here that's going to get your attention and make you work. That's just the way it rolls.
The only thing I would say, too, it's not like they're in Edmonton's boat. Like, they're 4-6. They've only played 10 games. Like, they've lost, 4 in a row? They need to play better. You need a better week. Like, you can dig yourself out pretty quick early in the season if you have a good week. Because what they did is they had a bad week, and they had a bunch, and you couple that with all the off-ice stuff. That's what really snowballed everything. Is you had the Shane Pinto, you had the firing of Pierre Noria,
really
you had
noisy.
the first rounder, and then you're not playing games. So you're literally, sitting there with this mess on your hands. And yes, you haven't played well in a couple games, 3-4 games. You need to play better. And you can't have excuses of injuries and that, because everyone's banged up early in the season right now. So you're right. Go out and have a response. If you like the coach, if you like your situation, then go play and stop with the lip service. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, they've played the least amount of games in the NHL, Ottawa has. It's been a well-documented soft start in terms of a lot of home games, not against the greatest teams in the league. And at some point, that's going to flip. Like, at some point, you're going to hit the road a lot. At some point, you're going to play some really good teams, including the next 2 nights where you're in Toronto tonight, at home against Vancouver tomorrow. Vancouver's been one of the best teams in the league this year, and they're going to be waiting for them, tomorrow night in Ottawa. So it's also been well documented. Their poor starts have cost them at the end of the season for years now, and they're doing it again. And we had Mark Method on an hour and a half ago, and he was pointing out some issues that could lead to the coach having some concerns.
That's right. You like the coach, but what? You don't want to back check?
Why are you cheating? Yeah, exactly. Like,
why are you cheating? Well, I'm going to bring in some guy that's a pain in the ass that you're going to hate, but guess what? He's going to make you back check and you're not going to play.
Right.
So that's where you can show how much you like to DJ by starting to do those things, or some other guy's going to come in there and make you do them that you're going to hate his guts. So you pick your poison.
Well, the only thing I would say is who's all these coaching changes? Who's out there? What coach is like the white knight out there? Like this, that's the one thing. Like,
great point, Jamie. Who is it?
Who's like this coach, like this Hall of Fame coach that's in the wings? I think Quenneville is a guy who still has to be reinstated. That's a guy that I think would be coveted by a lot of organizations if he does get sorted out and everything gets squared away there. But that's a different, he's on a different level because of the mess there.
Right,
but,
and that's not going to happen between now and tomorrow. Well, you got Daryl Sutter, who I don't think will get back in.
Right.
But there's one, Mike Babcock, who's not getting back in. Those are your Hall of Fame, veteran winning hard-ass coaches.
Gerard Gallant isn't a hard-ass.
And he's known as a guy where systems are not exactly on lockstep, right, when it comes to Gerard Gallant and the way that he coaches. So I don't know the answer. I'm that's on Steve Staios to have it, though. Like there's also a chance Staios has another guy in his past that he's waiting to give the job to anyway. Right?
Exactly.
And I don't know who that is, but is it someone from his junior days? Is it someone from where he used to play? Guy was in the league for a long time, played in a lot of different spots. He could have his eye on somebody anyway.
Yeah, that's a
but
good point.
it does feel like a watershed moment. Tonight for Ottawa, certainly tomorrow. You're going back home, Vancouver. Here's Darren Dreger, our TSN Hockey Insider. How would you describe, the security of DJ Smith and, what could be at stake, if not tonight, certainly tomorrow at home against Vancouver?
No, as we're having this conversation today, and I don't think it's going to change much tomorrow, I don't think it's as urgent as that. I think that the fan base has whipped it into a frenzy, and we in the media love it. What's more salacious this time of year when you're less than 15 games into the regular season and a coach firing? I think there are lots of markers that lead to it. You guys can attest to this. When you see Claude Giroux come out the way he did this week and Brady Tkachuk as captain, the captain obviously is going to confront those questions. And you would expect he would defend his coach. Giroux seemed annoyed by all of it. And not that he felt like he had to defend, but that they very much want to play for DJ, that they're behind him, and all of the noise, the booing, the media asking these questions, it's just a distraction, if not an annoyance. I don't get the sense that Steve Staios or Michael Andlauer want to fire their coach anytime soon. I don't get that sense. I really don't. So, if Ottawa loses tonight and they stumble and bumble versus it's literally a game-by-game situation with a lot of teams around the NHL. But I just caught the tail end of the conversation you guys were having coming into the segment. The number one question you have to ask yourself as an owner or a manager is, who's better? So you're firing DJ. Are you going to elevate Jack Capuano or Davis Payne? Maybe. Internal guys. They both coached before. They're capable. Who's in the past of Staios? There are lots of people that I can think of. Gallant, I'm with Noodles. Love Turk. I think he's an excellent coach. But is he a button pusher? Somebody that's going to read the riot act in Edmonton or in Ottawa? I don't know. And in fairness to Gerard Gallant, he's under contract for the New York Rangers, so he's going into his next coaching job. If he's fortunate enough to be offered another one, I think he will be. He's going to pick the spot because he has the luxury of being under contract. So, number one, I don't think it's as hot on DJ Smith as the fan base is letting on. I don't get that feeling around management.
Yeah, well, it's just a fascinating setup because you have a new owner and now a new man at the top in Steve Staios,
right,
who has not brought in anybody, right? Like they're not affiliated with anybody here. Not Tkachuk, not Giroux, not Stützle, nobody. So it's a completely clean slate. And yet all these players have term. And if you believe in your process, if you believe that your predecessor, Pierre Dorian and company, have built a good team, then you better have enough faith in them that they can turn it around. It's only 4-6.
Yeah,
it's 10 games.
Hold on, Brian. I think you've asked a very valid question. If you believe in your roster and the personnel that you have, and I think that's a question that does deserve a little bit of conversation. This is still a very young team. Noodles, you do a ton of those games, right? Maybe we collectively, in the hockey world, including the fan base, pumped the tires of the Ottawa Senators a little too much going into this year. This was the year they were going to turn the corner. They have Chychrun full time. They've got all these wonderful pieces. They've got to be a playoff contending team. Well, that's the hope and that's the expectation. But the reality of the National Hockey League comes into play too, where reality sets in. And you go through injuries, and Tim Stützle is pulling his hair out because things aren't going well for him. There's lots of scenarios. Maybe Staios doesn't love the makeup of the team, doesn't hate it, thinks it's pretty good, but recognizes how young it is, and maybe sees some holes in the lineup that maybe he'd like to address in time. That has nothing to do with coaching. But, and here's the but, you also can't let a team like this that's definitely on the uptick, fumble and bumble to the 20-25 game mark. So if things don't turn around, then obviously DJ Smith becomes right in the crosshairs.
Darren, were you surprised that the guys commenting about the fans, I don't care what the scenario is.
Yeah.
I just find it weird to criticize fan comments when you've dumped 4 in a row. It's just Brady Tkachuk, I love him, and Giroux's been around for a long time. He's a respected veteran and a great player. Yeah. I just think going down that road, it's a bad call. It's a bad call.
Yeah, well, it throws gasoline on the fire, doesn't it, right? This is a market that's been conditioned, to be patient, be patient. We're still in a rebuild. Oh, wait a second. No, we're out of the rebuild. Wait, no, we're back in the rebuild now. So that's what Andlauer and Steve Staios inherited. I guess to defend those players, and I hear what you're saying, I don't think it's ever a good thing for a player to not necessarily call out the fans, but even comment on it, right? Like if I were advising these players, and I don't know, do they still go through that some sort of preseason? I mean, for the top players of the game, they're basically coached from the time they're 13, 14 years of age. Okay, well, don't say anything to the media. Don't do this. Don't do that. Like all of that stuff. I don't understand what you feel like you have to gain, other than it's the emotion of the moment, and that's how you feel. And on top of that, Tkachuk is front and center twice a day. Giroux, available to the media a lot, always there. How many times, do you have to answer the same question before you get pissed off and you're like, all right, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of you guys. I've had enough of the fans, and it bubbles to the surface. But I tend to agree with you. I don't think you gain a whole lot by doing it.
With Darren Dreger, TSN Hockey Insider, you take a look at some of the numbers. You mentioned, the star players, the guys like Giroux, Stützle pulling his hair out, yet he's got 11 points, Tkachuk, et cetera. You get to the goaltending and you realize it just hasn't been that good. Statistically, It hasn't been that good. You look at Ilya Samsonov now in Toronto Dregs. He's in the crosshairs. Jack Campbell's on waivers. He's in the minors, and it's not like Stuart Skinner's up for the Vezina. Like, it seems like a lot of these fires in these Canadian markets, the coaches take the bullets, the stars take the bullets, the GM, the owner, maybe it's just the goalies aren't playing well. And talk to Rick Tocchet and Thatcher Demko right now and how happy they are, and Connor Hellebuck and Rick Bowness. And you get a good goalie, it's going to work out pretty well for you.
100%. You're right. And I just think it's a lethal cocktail, going on in Edmonton and maybe to a degree in Toronto with Samsonov, but more so in Edmonton because their defense is shoddy. We all know what Darnell Nurse makes, and I'm not going to pile on him, but I'm kind of deflecting away from Evan Bouchard, who was just awful the other night against Vancouver. But I pulled Nurse's tract out of that game. We know what the cap it is. We know what the term is. But that dude makes $10.2 this year, $12 million next year, $10 the year after. And then the signing bonus money, guys, kicks in. $6 million per year for the final 4 years of that contract. So when you look at a salary cap that's going up 4.5 roughly next year, if whoever the GM is, if Kenny decides that he's going off into the sunset, he just wants to golf or be an advisor, whatever, he's at the end of his contract. That's what you're saddled with. So we can hammer on Jack Campbell and Stu Skinner, and deservedly so. But if you watch the Oiler games, man, they're all over the place. Their defensive zone coverage is non-existent. So that has stressed those goalies, and they just haven't got the saves, So that's what's going on in Edmonton. And to bring it back to Samsonov, you guys saw what I saw the other night against Tampa Bay. Pucks weren't even hitting him, let alone him making saves. So I'm still reluctant. I know our famous leader and a guy that we all love, and that's Gino Reda, did a hit earlier today on Joe Woll being anointed as the number one. That's too soon for me. It's too soon for me. we'll get another look at him. He certainly looks promising. Was good in relief. He was very good in relief in the comeback win over the Lightning. But Toronto needs Samsonov to figure it out. Not because Joe Woll isn't capable, but just to make sure that you've got some balance there. So I'm not quite ready to throw in the white towel on Samsonov yet.
I agree. Like it just this guy, like it's too early in the season. They played 12 games now, and it's not like Wolves had 2 relief wins, but you know if it doesn't happen, then sorry, did the balloons come up again?
Yes, you got to stop putting. You can't make any gestures. You can't do it.
Keep my hands together. I apologize.
Yeah, we need handcuffs for you.
2 relief wins. But in his starts, like he's had a loss to Buffalo, he's had a loss to Chicago. Like he's still in the process of learning. And keep in mind, outside of 8 teams in this league, this is tandems. These are tandem situations. So they have to get Samsonov going. They have to. They're going to work with him. I just saw a video earlier. I think Masters posted it that they were out. He was out early working with the goalie coach. This is a good situation. Let him work his way out of it. Joseph Woll, he's got to play well tonight because I think Ottawa's going to throw a lot at him, and the Leafs are going to have a counterpunch. Like Hayes, what did you say the line was? 6.5? Like
the totals. They're expecting a lot of offense tonight. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is, I think that's reasonable considering the way both teams have played defensively.
Yeah.
The Leafs seem to be playing 5-4 games, 6-5 games every night. It's been thoroughly entertaining. And, with the Leafs, obviously Matthews has been great. Marner's starting to rack up a lot of points. Willie's been great. But it's the Trey Living signings that have been getting highlighted here, Dregs. And, Brad's been a GM in the league for a long time. And I know he's been a GM in a Canadian market for a long time. But it's a different beast now, isn't it? Like, he's getting that Toronto introduction pretty quickly.
Yeah, the flies are circling, no doubt about that, and deservedly so. They invested in Ryan Reaves. It's not a huge number, but for a cap team, it's a number. And I don't think they can afford for him to be a 4-minute player. They just can't.
Well, Darren, was there an agreement where it's like you are going to play every night? Like, what if it comes to a situation where it's like does he have an understanding that maybe he's not going to play some games? Because I agree with you. What the hell's the sense of sitting him on the bench for 3/4 of the game?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'd be really, really surprised. But, the term is somewhat problematic. But I think that the Leafs believe that if it doesn't work out, and I'm not necessarily talking about this year, we're moving forward here, that they could find a way to do something with that contract. And in Bertuzzi, that one is more perplexing to me. I thought actually Max Domi looked better. The last couple of games he's looked better, but playing center seemed to suit him a little bit, but he needs to string some games together. And then you've got Bertuzzi who, he shows those signs, but he's not the player he was in Detroit. And I thought he was a nice fit, in Boston as well. So, I've been poking around on him, seeing how he's feeling. Is everything good? And all indications are, it's he feels comfortable. He believes it's just a matter of time. But the way that Nyes is playing now on that left side, Bertuzzi and company better get used to the look of the second, third, maybe the fourth lines if they continue to play that way.
Yeah, it's interesting with Reaves because they gave him 3 years. If he ends up in the minors, it's like $100,000 cap hit, right? He's just over. I think he's 1.25 or 1.35.
Yeah.
That's not ideal. You also only get 50 contracts. He's going to take up one of your contracts at that point. But I don't think when they signed him, the expectation was he'd play with the Leafs for 3 years. But I didn't think it would be this quick, where they like Sheldon Keefe is like, I can't play the guy. And you can't. It's been that bad. Like, it's been that ugly.
It has been. And look, I'm not here to defend the player. I leave that to you guys. But it does seem like when he steps onto the ice, the bad luck just comes right after him. And
it's like when he steps on the ice, Darren, everyone turns their sticks over and they're playing a defensive zone drill.
There you go. That's not quite what I was thinking, but kind of.
Well, we'll see what he can bring tonight, right? Like, it's been a while since he threw a big hit, had a fight. His first 2 games, it was a great introduction. Massive hits, fights.
By the way, before we go, did you guys see, I don't know if it's TikTok or Instagram or whatever it was, Chris Nyland take apart that Ryan Reaves question the other night?
No.
Oh, boy. Go searching for it. I think it was after McCabe got can-overed by Brad Marchand and lack of response. And then Reaves responds to the media, and Nyland just eviscerates him.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Yeah, you got to see it. Go looking for it.
Okay. We'll find it. We'll go look for it right now. All right,
We'll be
Dregs.
playing it after the commercial.
Yeah, we gotta
Clickbait to get you going.
There you go. All right, Nyland would know. All right, Dregs. Thank you
All
for
right,
this.
boys. Have a good night.
Darren Dreger, TSN Hockey Insider. I hadn't seen that. I saw Sean Avery take a run at it. Listen, it is, Reaves has done that now a couple of times where, Marchand, lucky I wasn't on the ice. Okay, I'm not sure. Jack guy, we'll see him again. Well, he had 2 periods to fight. Like Reaves is as tough as nails. Like he is. Right. Everyone knows it. That hasn't changed. But he's not a guy that jumps people. He's not a guy that, I think he's trying here.
Game.
Yeah, he generally does. He'll throw massive hits. Clearly, he'll fight anyone that wants to fight. And if he feels he has to, he will, undoubtedly. But it just feels like he's getting caught up in a storm where he's got to play this part. He's got to play this role. He's got a script that he's got to abide by that just doesn't really seem honest at this point.
He's not a loose cannon.
Right,
that's
exactly.
what you're saying. Like who was it? Did somebody call us, or maybe was somebody called a loose cannon on our show? I can't remember.
Luke DeCock from Raleigh called me a loose cannon when I was in Carolina.
Yes. Was that like after the game or during interviews?
No, they were just talking about like just different people in history, and then it got to me, and it was like O'Neill, who was a loose cannon when he was here. And I was
we
like,
had Luke Did we have Luke on the show to talk about
it?
I
we
think we did.
And then he was like defending it, saying, "No, I meant like you were a good quote." And I'm like, "I know, but the way you worded it, like loose cannon."
Yeah. Okay, I remember. That was when they were breaking down the best players in Carolina history, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, Reaves is not a loose cannon. Like he's a calculated guy. He does his job. So he's not that Tom Wilson's unpredictable. That's that's the guy where it's like he's the boogeyman out there because he plays in that top 6 role, runs around, and he plays in that gray area. Mm-hmm. So, after every Tom Wilson hit, everyone goes in their minds, okay, is that clean? Did he run at him? Did he leave his feet? Did all these things. Like Reaves just plays a hard game. He plays a physical game, but it doesn't, maybe I'm wrong. He doesn't tread in that gray area. He just goes and plays hard.
Yeah. No, and what he needs to do is actually play.
Right.
If the hit's there, take it. If the fight's there, take it. But he's got to contribute in terms of getting pucks out, getting pucks deep. Have a forecheck, bring some energy when you're on the ice and get off. And it's not going to be offense. That's not what is going to be supplied. But it can't be fishing the puck out of your net every time you're on the ice. And it's not always his fault. Like there have been a number of goals where he happens to be on the ice and someone blows a wheel and some guy goes in on a breakaway. It's like, all right, that's on him. He's going to take a minus there, but he really had nothing to do with it, and it went against him. But still, it builds up, right? And things are going to have to change on that front.
I agree.
So Leafs Sens tonight. All right, we'll come back and we'll see if we should go through the audio before we play it. Chris is Nyland can.
Well, if it's a podcast,
Chris is willing to say what's on his mind.
Yeah,
yes,
he might be saying some stuff. So
yeah, exactly. We'll get to our best bets. Brought to you by FanDuel, still to come as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, shout out, congratulations to Jessica S., who just won a pair of tickets to see the Leafs Canucks November 11th.
Right.
Yeah, following us on Instagram at TSN 1050 on Instagram, and keep an eye out for more chances to win Leaf tickets all season long. So there you go. Right. Jessica got in the comments and liked and followed and all that good stuff and picked up a pair of tickets. Big game Saturday night. I'll be down there.
Back-to-back home contests. That's always a weird one.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday home games against Canadian teams, too. Calgary Friday, Vancouver Saturday.
Well, it's the Hall of Fame game Friday night, correct?
Yes,
That
correct.
is correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Hall of Fame game Friday night, then you do. I think the Argos play at 3:00. I've got tickets to that this Saturday.
That's going to be it. They are a 9.5-point favorite over Montreal. I was watching the panel last night. Kate and the boys were talking about it, and Milt Stiegel said that he believes.
Watch out.
Well, he said if the Argos finish this off, and we're going to have Ryan Dinwiddie on later in the week, the head coach will be on the show on Friday. He said if they finish this out, then they will be worthy of the title greatest team in CFL history.
Wow.
Like, that's saying something, man. 16-2, and if they
That
roll.
is. They've dummied everybody.
They have. And they're playing Montreal, and they've dummied them all year. Like, no one can stop this. A 9.5-point spread, that seems low. Like, it feels like I think I'd hammer the Argos. And, Chad Kelly was on with First Up, and he's feeling good. He's had a great season. That's your MOP. And they're at home, BMO. I haven't looked at what the weather's going to be, but it'll be a great crowd.
He like the third stringer or something last year, and he got thrown into the Grey Cup game?
Yeah. And it's already up to 10.5 on FanDuel. It's moved a full point.
Wow.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at kickoff. That's 11.5. Because I would anticipate the Argos coming off a bye. They're at home. They should crush Montreal.
Yeah.
But so you're thinking you're going down there.
Well,
Noodles,
busy weekend, right? You got a busy weekend. I've got a Hall of Fame party to go to on Saturday night as well.
Wow, look at you, a man of the town. Look at you moving and shaking.
I'll tell you what, if you want to have, if you want to get the fellas together and have a monster day, you go Argos into the Leafs. Like, if you can be in both facilities, credit to you. But that's a massive night.
Well,
and you could take it deep. You could have a great time.
All day. It doesn't get any better than that. The 2-pack?
Does not.
That's kind of the plan. We'll see how it unfolds.
Okay.
Talk a big game, but then we'll see how, which ones I actually make it to. But I would like to go Argos into the Leaf game, into an after party.
Into the after party. Wow. Because the Hall of Fame this weekend, it's always buzzing, right? You get everyone in town. And
exactly.
Yeah, they'll have the Hall of Fame game down there, I guess, on Sunday, right?
Yep.
We've been promoting that a lot. That's always fun. A lot of people get out to that. So, yeah, it'll be a cool weekend here in Toronto. And we had mentioned off the top of the show, you said that you did the weigh-in today at the gym, and you're starting this new journey. And at some point you want us, once we
Siren.
we see, something's happening here where we witness there's a change. There's a tangible change in the way that you look, how you're wearing your suits, all that kind of stuff. We will ask JP to play the siren, and then that will trigger your response where you're going to have to give us a full update. What you've lost, where the BMI is, all that kind of stuff. A full breakdown, the full diddly do's and diddly d's in terms of analytics.
But I don't want any courtesy sirens. You guys know that.
No, I understand that. We're not going to.
It has to be legit where you text Noodles and you say, he doesn't look like he's fat anymore.
I'm seeing something here. All right. So JP has spent the last couple of hours working on a couple of things. These are just practicing, right? We're easing into this. This is not likely going to be the end result. It's very early. JP is a busy guy. He's been working the whole show, so he's got bigger and better things to do. Why don't we got a couple of examples here, JP? And let's see how we feel about these. And again, this is just a run through. A lot of this will change, if not all of it, once we finally get to the real stuff.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in. But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That is outstanding.
Good one.
That's going to be tough to beat, man. The Macho Man inclusion always lands.
I'll tell you what,
Scorpions.
that got me fired up. I might get JP to text me that and play it walking into the gym.
That should be your entrance into the gym. That needs to be played because that's another rabbit hole thing, man. Every once in a while, I'll go back and see Macho Man promos before. The guy was a lunatic with his promos. They never made any sense. It was yelling and screaming.
And man, was he a close talker too? Like a close talk and a finger point.
He loved he always did the fingers, right? Like he was always like
to
dabbling
the bald
his
guy
fingers.
with the mustache.
Mean Gene Okerlund. Yeah.
Yes.
It was Mean Gene between him and Ultimate Warrior, and there were some wild promos back. It's not promo, right, JP? What do they call it? Anyway, there's some terminology that wrestling people are always like, you got to call it. It's not a promo, it's a shoot or something like that.
Oh, where they're like just hyping up the match or hyping something up.
Yeah, there's a term for it. All right, that was the first one. That's going to be tough to beat, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
I really want to play that in about a month. I want to believe in it. I want to see it. I want to see a transformation, and I want to call for that. But let's go in with an open mind. Here's the second option. Again, work in progress. Lots of possibilities moving forward here for the O-Dog weigh-in alarm.
It is not just that your body gets pumped up, but it's also your mind. There's nothing better than a pump.
Yes, Arnie.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but you got to bring in a goat, or what did he have?
A donkey.
Like a donkey.
Yeah, he had a donkey. We need a donkey in the studio, just walking around and doing what it's supposed to do. I don't think the grappler would allow that. The grappler would put that.
Send an email out.
Yeah, Mr. Grappler would not accept that.
Oh yeah, Mr. Grappler, and thanks for the email the other day, sir.
Yeah, he's on top of things. All right, I think I like the first one because of the Macho Man, but those are both great. There's a lot of opportunity here to really make this work.
I'll go with the people. Those are the only two options, right?
Well, as of now,
put it out.
Again,
Put it out there.
We got a lot of
Put
time.
it out there on a poll, and if you want to send in something different tomorrow, we'll maybe play a couple different options.
Okay.
If you want to make your own little pump up for the siren, I'm all ears.
Yes, we are all ears. Okay. I like the siren on the first one too, right? Like there was a siren into the Macho Man.
You know,
Can we hear the first one?
Go ahead.
I was just envisioning. Remember Saturday Night Live? Those two guys. I'm here to pump you up.
Yes. Yes.
I can't remember.
It was Dana
Hans
Carvey.
and Franz?
Yeah,
Hans and
Franz.
Hans and Franz. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Let's
know
hear the
why.
Macho Man one more time.
Let's hear it one
again.
more time.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Oh man!
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that one is great.
Unjustifiably in a position I'd rather not be. Like, what is he talking about? Trying to parse what the. Look at this guy.
Look at this guy.
Look
He's
at the
just look at the
hands.
close talking and the hands gesturing.
He had the best gear though going, Macho Man. Like the shades were those are back. Like you'll
No
see.
kidding. Every
Yeah.
guy has those shades now.
Yeah, you'll see some guy walking through Yorkville dressed like Macho Man, and his gear is probably worth $6,000.
What was it called? Was it spandex? He wore spandex all the time, right?
Yeah,
like
oh, yeah.
the colored
Loud.
spandex. And
Loud.
he, by the end, like he needed a salad rebuild because the hair was like
the salad was not in a good place. Like he'd wear the
Yeah.
bandana at times.
It was
Yeah.
triple extra long bacon strips just everywhere with the glasses and the bandana.
The Macho Man. We got to do that one day, like a throwback, and apply old like '80s wrestlers to like current athletes.
Oh yeah.
You know, maybe
That guy keeping a straight face is some of the best acting and TV
Yes.
work because I would laugh so hard.
There's- you
I couldn't do it.
I'm
I
with
couldn't
you.
do it.
Mean Gene, he sat there and did it all. With the Ultimate Warrior was a lunatic.
The Hulkster,
Yeah.
all of
Hogan
it.
was crazy too. Hogan would start talking about vitamins and stuff, and you're like,
Yes.
"What is this guy
Yeah.
even talking about?"
I know. Look at him.
This guy, look at him. Like Macho Man was epic, man. He was because you know what? You talk about laughing. Like remember Paul Bear, our boy. Paul Bear would do his promos, and you can find it online on YouTube and stuff where there's just so many outtakes. Like even the Undertakers can't keep his composure. It's so stupid that the Paul Bear is doing his thing like, oh, yes. And
And they start laughing.
Yeah.
They have to do it over again.
they start laughing, or he starts laughing. There's one. There's one where he can't keep his composure. He has to put his head down and duck out of the shot because he can't believe how stupid it is.
I gotta go.
And he's
I
Paul
gotta
Bearer.
get caught down a rabbit hole and watch that one. It's hilarious.
Yes. You see Scott Boras, the super agent in baseball. He was down doing his rounds today.
Dude, this is a yearly comment for
Yeah.
you. Every time on this date, you have said that exact same thing.
Yep. That's
Boras, what he does.
He convenes and he speaks, and he'll do it at the winter meetings too. He is calling for a World Series to be moved to a neutral site. He wants basically a Super Bowl, which I'm not surprised people feel that way in other sports, because, and I'll bet you the NBA is going to do this at some point too, because Adam Silver is obsessed with the NFL, obsessed. He's trying to build parity like the NFL. I saw him do, I believe he was on a podcast today or yesterday talking about how he wants the media to build up the NBA the same way the NFL media does, and he wants the media to play a part in people responding to the NBA the way people respond to the NFL. And I don't think it's going to work, because the NBA is very popular, but the NFL is a different beast altogether, especially in the U.S. It's not even close.
Right.
But the NFL's had the Super Bowl play the way it plays forever, decades. Like, they're at the cream of the crop,
Dude,
and they have the Super Bowl.
The difference is it's one game.
Yes.
The Super Bowl is one game. When you were talking about a series, you play the whole year for home field advantage, and the fans deserve to see your team play some of those games. It's a dumb idea, and it'll never work. Sorry.
Well, it might work financially. I'm with you that it's a dumb idea, taking it away from the fans. I would hate that. The idea that Joe Carter hit that home run in Vegas instead of at the Rogers Center.
No kidding.
Is ridiculous. But I don't want it as a fan. I don't want to see it. What I'm saying is the business behind it. Clearly, they realize you bring everyone together, all the sponsors together, you put a title on it, you make the host city or host team pay for, like, there's money that they think they can find. And that's all that matters for these guys right now. Like, the integrity of the sport, the history of the sport gets completely thrown out. Like, can we find more money? Can we find more revenue? Boris doesn't care. He just wants more money for the players. So he doesn't. There's no sanctity of the sport. He couldn't care less about the sport.
Dude, that guy's got so much power as far as getting money for his clients, but I don't think Bobby Mans hears that and his ears go up, and he's like, "Oh, I got to listen to Scott Boros' idea about what the World Series is all about."
No, I think
some things need to be left alone.
Out of spite, he'd go against it. He'd be like, "Oh, Boris wants that. We're definitely not doing it."
Exactly.
They would hate on that. But yeah, he's out there speaking. He's doing his thing. Scotty Boris, as he always
who's
does.
wearing his hats this year? Like, who's got?
That's a good question. It's not Ohtani's not a Boris guy,
right?
I'd have to look that up.
Like, who was it that was wearing his hat the one time?
Garrett Cole.
Garrett Cole. Jerry Cole. That's right.
That was in the clubhouse, though, I think, Noodles.
It was
right after the
season
season was over.
Yeah, it was like Houston hat off, Boris hat on, in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
like that was a wrestling move. That's something the Macho Man would try to pull off.
Yeah, no,
But,
that was just a weird transaction.
Yeah, Boris,
he got paid.
He gets people money, man. That's what he does. If I was a ball player, I'd probably be thinking, yeah, I'll go with him. Like, he'll get me money. That's what he does. Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Looking at the Raptor game tonight. Scotty Barnes, 20-plus points. Luka, 25-plus points. You parlay that, pay him plus 132. I love it. Luka's going off every night, 30-plus every night. And Scotty's going off every night. I think Scotty has 20-plus again tonight. They haven't played in a few days, rested, good to go. Today's best bet's powered by FanDuel. The sweat begins at tip-off by betting your favorite NBA star to score the first basket or go for 30-plus points in a same-game parlay. Please play responsibly, 19-plus, and physically located in Ontario. Battle of Ontario coming up. We'll tee that up. Raptors Mavs, we'll tee that up as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Be happy, if you're a sports fan, that you're not in a market. And this doesn't happen all the time, but I just read a tweet. It's like the Minnesota Twins are looking to move away from 3 players because this year they're just looking to lower their payroll. And it's like, if you're a fan of that team, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? So some owner just decides, I'm lowering the payroll this year, and that's what we're doing. Thanks a lot. Like, that would suck so bad.
Yeah, and really the power's in the hands of the owner, right? Like, that's the position you're in.
No kidding. If he says chop $10 million off the payroll or 20 or 30, that's what you're doing.
It's gone.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
PM has no choice. It's going to happen. And yeah, you're right. And that's the luxury of being in bigger markets where there's more pressure. Like the owner feels like they can't get away with that.
Yeah, like the bigger markets, if you're doing a rebuild, you got to do a rebuild. But it's not out of the blue when you're kind of a good team and someone just says, take $40 million off that. I just want to lower the payroll. Right. You're screwed.
Like Minnesota made the playoffs and obviously won a round.
Yes.
As we know. And it's just, forget it. I don't know. What are you going to do? We got a new park and everyone's happy. We'll screw this up. Yeah, it's true. It is true. You never know what that owner is going to be thinking, what's going on with their other businesses.
That's the thing. If they've got other businesses that are struggling or something, you've got to take cash or move something from somewhere else. Like, manager's hands are tied. You have to do what he asks. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. And like tonight, you got the Raps are in Dallas, and Mark Cuban, ever since he bought that team, has been one of the most fascinating owners in sports. He sits courtside, he yells at refs, he freaks out, and he's got so much money, that he's going to be committed in Dallas.
Right.
And that's the kind of unique thing about that market is you got Jerry Jones with the Cowboys, you got Cuban with the Mavs, like solo owners, big personalities, heavily involved right there. And then up here in Toronto, like we've been talking about, the valuation of the Maple Leafs at allegedly $2.65 billion. The Raptors are like a $3 billion operation, if not more. TFC, the Argos, BMO, Scotiabank, they own a fortune, yet it's a conglomerate. Like Larry Tannenbaum has been the face of it, but he's a minority owner, and he's actually selling off even more. So It's kind of tough to really know exactly who's making these decisions. It's a board as opposed to a solo owner. But, Battle of Ontario tonight. It'll be a good one.
It'll be a good one. I think it's going to be a good pace. Like, if Ottawa is pissed off, like sometimes when you're too upset, like you're not in control. Like that's, like you're seeing teams that are scared. Like I watch Edmonton. They're fragile.
Yeah,
they're scared. They're scared to lose. And Ottawa's pissed off. Like the Leafs can take advantage of that because they might let their emotions get too much of them.
Noodles, I always found the response game to be very easy as an individual because I was like, everybody's pissed off and everybody's going to be watching. And I just don't want to be the one guy that's lagging behind and stunk the joint out like the last 2 or 3 games. So it's like, you got to be on it. You can't be the one that has the stupid turnover. And it's like, it's a difficult thing to do, but sometimes you just got to go out and do it. It's like, I got to be on board and I just have to be more intense and more focused and just play better. It's like it seems like everyone's searching for these magical answers. It's like, boxing one, defensive. Wrong. You just got to play better. If you're a defenseman, play better. Finish your checks. Do whatever. Get it in, get it out. It's like these guys are looking for magical answers all throughout the league. Just go out and play better. You're in the best league in the world. It's there, and you just got to go figure out what it is. It's very simple.
Well, it is very simple when you have the capability of doing that. It's not as easy if you're San Jose and you're terrible. There's no playing better.
No, I know, but even the Leafs, for example, in their own zone, they went through a stretch last year where they had a D core that looked like an AHL defensive core. Okay, but you know what they did? They played really good defensively. They were keeping it to 2 goals or under. And with that crew of guys, Jordy Ben and Mac Holloway and Victor Mete, you were looking at that and say, these guys are going to get smoked tonight. But they got the job done. So just go out there and do the job.
Yeah, you're right. Committed to that type of like team defense, commitment to a 5-man unit, all the cliches. And you're right, and that continues with the Leafs. There's no reason why they can't do that. McCabe's not playing again tonight. Liljegren's out. We know that. Timmins is out. You're talking about a makeshift defense. And that's what is going to be expected is that you shut it down. Everyone's dealing with injuries. Ottawa, Zub's not playing tonight for Ottawa.
It's Chabot, Zub, and Brandstrom are out. Those are 3 of their 6 regulars, like legitimate. Like Brandstrom, I know is take it or leave it on the third pairing, but Zub is their shutdown guy. Yeah. Zub is their McCabe, and Chabot is a guy who plays 24 minutes a night.
So whoever avoids that first pairing, you got to be thinking party time in the offensive zone. Party time. Get after it.
That's it. Like the Leafs are going to be you're facing a wounded dog here tonight in Ottawa. We know what's happening in that market. We know all the rumors that's going on. And, you know, when you consider what the Leafs have at stake tonight, you can really can't bury Ottawa officially, but you can put a big buffer between you. Like if the Leafs win and rank tonight, that's an 8-point buffer. That historically would suggest Toronto can look past Ottawa as a concern, you know, and it's on Ottawa to make sure that doesn't happen. Like you know, slowly but surely, this is going to shake out the way we thought it would. You know, all of a sudden, Montreal again, one of the worst teams in the league, right? It's happening. Here it goes. They lost last night to Tampa. They've lost 4 in a row. They're going to end up where we thought they would. Ottawa, they got to catch up. Buffalo, Florida, Toronto, Detroit's coming back to earth. They're going to end up. I don't think they're a playoff team, but Boston's getting there. I think Tampa's getting there. I think the Leafs are getting there. We'll see what comes of it tonight. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes. We appreciate all the help as always. Everyone for tuning in today. Radio, TV, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
Macho Man. I'm coming for you. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.
Cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.